Martial World Teyvat Chapter 31b, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. The secretary bowed respectfully towards me, and without a look back she retreated with her front aimed at the door as though the person within was the emperor themselves. I opened the door on my own with the door sliding almost silently open, and as I came into the room I saw that Ningguang was relaxing on a long couch laid out atop while smoking from her pipe, while sitting across from her was another woman. This one was regal with dark black hair that had light green natural highlights running through her hair, and she was also wearing red glasses across her face that gave her a librarian look with how her hair was done, also in a formal ponytail. Though her form was clad in a regal and very well-made dress that hugged her curvaceous form with a sort of cape that trailed behind her. Ningguang. I greeted my patron and supporter first out of respect, and then I looked to who I knew was Cloud Retainer and said somewhat more formally, "Lady Cloud Retainer, it's an honor to meet another intellectual and inventor." Cloud Retainer gave a small smile as she looked me up and down and said softly, "One sees that you are not without talent in martial arts and cultivation, even if you have that. The physique requires some more work to get the best progress. But seeing the pelican you called it? What a marvelous feat of mechanical mastery that is, young man." My face went pink slightly at the awkward tone she used, as my physique was. Yeah, anyway, but there was no hiding the interest and joy in speaking to me in terms of mechanical engineering, even though our own methods did clash due to her own mechanics being cultivation-based. I bowed my head slightly to the compliment as I responded calmly, "Coming from a woman with wisdom accrued from ages long past, your compliments make me proud." To which Cloud Retainer gave a soft chuckle before I looked back over at Ningguang, who lazily waved her smoking pipe to the couch across from her so I would be to the right of Cloud Retainer, who was sitting on her own seat. "So Jake, what has brought you to me in particular?" Ningguang started off with, and I chewed on my thoughts before I began speaking. "Due to your cleansing of the corrupt guards and the millilith and the workers that were at my factory, along with sending away the survivors. My factory has obviously ran out of fuel now and has stopped production, seeing as no one is throwing monster corpses into the biofuel burners." Ningguang actually smiled and tittered with amusement as she spoke. "Oh, I know already. Yelan is rather cross with me as she is now having to do that, as you did leave the notes on how the monster furnaces needed to be fed. And having a nascent soul having to tend to the fires of a furnace is almost certainly the first ha." Looking at how amused she was at that, I said bluntly, "Yeah. And who wants to bet that Yelan is helping herself to a nascent soul's proper wages from the spirit stones that are being mined up?" And at my retort, Ningguang's amusement died instantly, with her getting flushed as she groaned and muttered, "No wonder that witch offered to be so helpful. Humph, wait for me to catch hold of her." But seeing as we were on the topic, I looked over at Cloud Retainer to begin asking about the puppets, but instead she asked with curiosity before I could speak, "So you use monster and demon beast flesh to fuel your machines? So you are tapping into the blood energy remaining in the flesh similar to a martial artist's blood energy and using them to run your machines? How interesting." I shook my head as that wasn't really the case, but either way I spoke to Cloud Retainer. "It's sorta in that vein of thought, but not really. Anyway, Lady Cloud Retainer, I was curious if you had any puppets I could buy or trade for that would be able to do odd jobs like grabbing corpses and shoving them into a furnace slide." She didn't even blink and instead smiled arrogantly as she pushed up her glasses with one of her gloved hands. "One is certain that her puppets can do far more than that, in fact. But yes, this one's puppets can replace the workers and guards that have been removed or purged. Truth be told, this is what Ningguang and this one have been discussing previously." "How well, that is convenient," I thought before I smiled hearing that, and I looked over at Ningguang and spoke more seriously. "Ningguang, in order to further expand my operations I need some more complicated materials I will need to make over time, so in that vein I am planning to make a second factory in the southern part of the Gili Plains." Hearing my words, Ningguang raised an eyebrow and asked seriously, "What materials do you need to expand your first factory's basic production? If you need help in acquiring resources, Jake, do no falter in asking me, as I will do everything I can to help expand your factory." But I had to shake my head as I spoke wryly. "It's not a matter of specialized resources. I need a separate facility basically to mine up the resources to make the machines that will upgrade my prior machines, along with making specialized mechanical parts. Anyway, beyond that I had something also very important to discuss with you." I took a breath and then continued to speak as Cloud Retainer and Ningguang listened, and I didn't hide anything, knowing that Cloud Retainer was basically intrinsically linked to Liyue. So the first factory, I am planning to leave it as a war production plant, having it divert its resources into making weapons, gunships like the Pelican and the Titan mechs you guys like call puppets for some reason. Before they could speak, I held up a hand, making Cloud Retainer's lips twitch at me, cutting her off, but I continued as I was on a roll. Anyway, in my tinkering, I found out how to forcibly age up spiritual herbs and such with my Spirit Stone Reclamation project in turning empty spirit stones back into their refueled state, and with that I am planning on creating an alchemy factory section that will forcibly age herbs up to a very specific age. That way I can fully automate the production of elixirs up to tier 2 at least for now. After a long moment, Cloud Retainer spoke casually. Young man, what is your current marital status? One has 2 disciples of great beauty and poise that remain unattached, and I could play matchmaker between the 3 of you.